Hello YouTube, it's Len here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another manga review. Today we are reviewing Miss Nagatoro, or Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro, volumes 1, 2, and 3, which are right there because I don't actually own them physically. I own them digitally on Bookwalker. I got them during one of the Kodansha sales that they had. I think it was in August. It was the one where I bought all of Tokyo Revengers and Devil's Line and stuff like that. So I bought all of those. They were like $5 for the first 3 volumes, which is really good. And I actually really enjoyed it. So here we go. Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro is the title of the manga that I'm reviewing today, obviously. And the author here is Nanashi. The publisher is Kodansha, like I said. And the demographic here is shonen, which is actually kind of surprising. I actually thought this was a seinen series, but I guess shonen makes sense. It's a high school rom-com, but I don't know, just the author and the kind of vibe that it has, kind of, I would assume that it would have been a seinen, but I mean, those demographic labels don't really mean much anyways. It's just more what the magazine is, more than it is like the actual content. So yeah, now the genres here are, like I said, rom-com, and I think that's basically it. I mean, there's a school life element here, but it's not really the big important part. There has to be a name for this kind of like girl teasing older guy thing that's going on, because I know that there's more than one series that has this vibe, but I guess it's just not something big enough that has become a genre just yet. So there's elements of that there here. So the manga here has an adaptation. Obviously, it's actually a really recent thing. I think it just finished airing 1 season ago, and I heard that there were some problems with it. I heard that the way that things were translated / voice acted was kind of not the best in terms of like specific phrases. I don't really care. I mean, I think that using very like specific internet lingo when it's not a very specific internet lingo type of series kind of dates it and makes it less broadly appealing, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's just whatever. So yeah, now the premise here is that there's this introverted senpai character, which we don't actually know his name yet. I mean, I do because I read the Wikipedia page, but I don't actually remember it, so whatever. And he unknowingly draws the attention of his kohai, Miss Nagatoro. Kohai is a younger colleague, essentially. And this leads to rather mean-spirited and sometimes lewd teasing that kind of slowly morphs into this somewhat romantic situation. But it's definitely bullying. Like, Nagatoro actually bullies senpai. And it's so weird, man. Like, I don't know why I enjoy this. I think that in any other context, I would actually really despise it. I really hate, like, abusive tsundere archetypes. Like, the really, really messed up ones that really just, like, beat the shit out of the male characters in, like, harem romance. And this isn't like that, but this is definitely, like, not very cutesy teasing. This is, like, Nagatoro actually makes him cry very often, so I'm not really sure what it is about this series that I like. I think that it's because, like, there's something to it. Like, Nagatoro's bullying is, like, mean and horrible, right? But she doesn't actually, like, do it with the intent of being mean and horrible, or at least that's not how it comes off. I'm not too sure. But it does really confuse me because I'm not exactly sure why I like this. So yeah, let's actually get into the review. I kind of just told you everything about it without actually having like the structure that I usually have. So the plotline here is basic, but it is essentially an anthology style chapter kind of situation where each chapter happens after the previous one, obviously, but rather isn't necessarily interconnected. Like, yes, we can call back to a previous chapter, but it's very unlikely that they do because it's really not that like type of story. It's not a single progressive story, but rather a lot of small stories that all happen along a timeline, if that makes sense. Like, that's not the same as like a battle shonen series, right? And like, yes, it's divided into arcs, and each chapter has its own kind of series, like thing going on, but each chapter provides into a larger story that provides into the arc that then provides into the series, right? These chapters in Nagatoro don't really do that. Like, you could read each chapter individually, and although you might be confused if you read them out of order, because why would you know Nagatoro before she meets Nagatoro, or he meets Nagatoro? It doesn't really make that much of a difference. As long as you've read the first few, you can read every other one in any order you like. So yeah, and basically each short story deals with Nagatoro teasing Senpai over something specific. Usually it's his artistry or his ability to draw and stuff like that. And usually leads to him crying. And then we get this kind of secondary plot line here where Nagatoro doesn't like when others tease Senpai. Only she can tease him. And so there's this weird like attachment that they have with each other. And it's actually very interesting because I'm interested to see how the teasing kind of transforms from bullying into proper teasing, into trying to help Senpai be a more outspoken guy, and how that kind of turns into romance. Because we, even in the first 3 volumes, we kind of do get to see that it is becoming somewhat romantic. Like, there is a point where Nagatoro isn't like just being mean. She's also like, oh, this guy's kind of interesting. He's kind of lame, but I also kind of enjoy his company, right? And it's kind of interesting. I guess it's one of those like, oh my God, Nagatoro's never found a guy that treats her like this, which is kind of interesting. Now, the characters here are pretty simple. I mean, they're just Senpai with this very basic and introverted harem rom-com protagonist. He has dark hair. He has very boring kind of facial features. He wears glasses, which not all of the harem protagonists do, but he definitely has that kind of like ugly bastard look to him from like hentai, which is kind of funny. Which, I mean, Nashi makes hentai, so that kind of makes sense. But he has this very kind of like just laid back personality, and he doesn't really have too much going for him, right? On the other hand, we have Nagatoro, who's this crazy, like very sadistic kind of chick. At least just with Senpai, but she's not really a tsundere. Like, she never is like, oh, I don't like you. She's very much just like, I have fun teasing you / bullying you, so I'm going to continue to do so, and you're just going to have to deal with it, right? And she also seems to be quite a highly motivated, kind of highly well-to-do kind of character. Like, she's really good at sports. She's obviously tan because of it, and that kind of plays into the lewdness a little bit. And she has very much like good, high-quality student aspects to her. She's not just like some mean delinquent kind of character. And I don't know, she's not super honest about herself either, so she's kind of very interesting. I really do enjoy learning about her. And then we have a few of Nagatoro's friends who kind of just end up being bullies as well, but Nagatoro doesn't like it, and so there's this kind of like comedy bit there with that. Now, world building wise, there really is none. It's just a school setting. There really isn't anything to explain, but I guess there is an explanation or two here and there if something comes up that isn't like normal in the US or in English, but I don't actually remember anything off the top of my head, so there really isn't much there. Now, art wise, it's top tier. Nanashi has a very good understanding of anatomy, and he really does enjoy playing around with it in a way that kind of makes it really attractive and really, really kind of interesting. You could say that Nagatoro specifically, her character design, has very much like late 2000s, early 2010s, like stretched out proportions that are kind of like what you would find in Demon King Diamao, right? That's the name of that light novel. Or something like Danmachi, where it's like very attractive female characters, but they're also kind of like really long in their torso section, but that kind of like isn't horribly distracting, if that makes sense. But yeah, Nagatoro has this very like nice art to it. She can go from very cute to very evil looking to very kind of like normal, and there's a lot of fun comedy here. The expressions that Nanashi works into his characters are really good as well. The character design is good. Nagatoro definitely comes off as this like very sporty character. And she also comes off as a little bit like not goody two shoes, but definitely a good student. And obviously, Senpai comes off as a very kind of like average guy, and then the side characters, the Nagatoro's friends, also come off as a little bit more like gal type characters, just based on their design, also including their like interactions and the way they speak and stuff like that. Now, fan service wise, there's definitely a lot, and it's generally very raunchy. Obviously, Nanashi is a hentai artist, so it kind of makes sense that he would splurge on his own art sometimes. Is that the right expression? I don't know if that's the right expression, but basically it would make sense that he really goes all out and kind of shows off his drawing skills without actually really getting into anything that would be like too lewd for a shonen magazine. He definitely like keeps it PG enough, but there's definitely like a lewdness to it. So, you know, if this is definitely not for you if you don't like fan service of any type. Now, this is a rating wise, it's a 4 out of 5. I think it's very enjoyable, but like I said, I don't exactly know why. The character work here is really good, but that's part of the problem. That's why I don't know why I like it, because as a person, Nagatoro is a horrible character, right? She's like a really shitty person. She sucks, but there's also something about her, and something about her relationship with Senpai, that is interesting and meaningful and kind of good. I don't really know why I like it, but I just do it, and it's very enjoyable, and I enjoyed it a lot. But not enough to like say it's a 5, because I know that there's problems with it, and Nagatoro is not that good of a character. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. I think that if you enjoy these kind of like more like adult rom-com kind of situations, like Hokkaido Gals or Dress Up Darling, you'll probably like this. Although Hokkaido Gals and Dress Up Darling is a very different kind of vibe to it. Those like the main female characters in those are teasing and kind of a little bit more gal-like than Nagatoro, but they're also not very mean. Nagatoro is actually very, very mean, so kind of depends what you kind of like. But I think Nagatoro is a fun series, so I definitely recommend you guys check it out. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and see you guys later.